You must not slaughter to God your God a work bull, sheep, or goat that acquires a defect through any improper pronouncement by its slaughterer, for God your God considers this an abomination. If there be found among you within one of your cities that God your God has given you a man or a woman performing the act that God your God deems evil, transgressing his covenant by going and worshiping other people's deities, and prostrating himself before them, or before the sun, the moon, or any heavenly body, all of which I have commanded you not to worship. And this is reported to you, and you hear it, and you investigate it thoroughly, and it is found to be true, because the evidence agrees, establishing that this abomination has been committed in Israel. You must bring the man or woman who committed this evil thing to the gate of the city, this man or woman, and you must pelt them with stones, that they die thereby. The person liable to death must be condemned to death by the testimony of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses. He may not be condemned to death by the testimony of 1 witness. The hand of the witnesses must be the first upon him to put him to death, and afterward the collective hand of all the people. So must you eliminate the evil from your midst. If the solution to a matter in judgment eludes you to distinguish between one type of blood and another, to distinguish between one type of legal case and another, or between one type of dermal lesion and another, rendering any such matters subject of dispute in your cities, you must arise and go up to the place that God your God will have chosen. You must approach the Levitic priest and the judge, who will be at that time, and inquire of them. They will tell you the solution to the matter in question. You must act in accordance with the verdict that they will tell you from the place that God will have chosen. You must be careful to act in accordance with everything they instruct you. You must act in accordance with the law that they instruct you and the judgment they pronounce to you. You may not deviate right or left from what they tell you. Any person who acts malevolently, not obeying the priest who stands there to serve God your God, or the judge, that person must be put to death, and you must eliminate this evil from Israel. The entire people must listen and be afraid, so they will not act maleficently. When you enter the land that God your God is giving you, take possession of it and settle it. And you say, I will appoint a king over myself like all the nations around me. You may indeed appoint a king over yourself, one whom God your God chooses. You must appoint a king over yourself from among your brothers. You may not appoint a foreigner, one who is not your brother, over yourself. But he must not acquire many horses for himself, so that he not bring the people back to Egypt, in order to procure many horses. For God has said to you, you must never return along that path. He must not take many wives for himself, in order that his heart not be distracted. He must not acquire too much silver and gold for himself. When he sits upon his royal throne, he must write for himself a second copy of this Torah on a scroll from the Torah scroll, in the care of the Levitic priests. It must remain with him, and he must read from it every day of his life, so he may learn to revere God his God, to safeguard all the words of this Torah and these rules by studying them, so that he may know how to properly perform them, so that his heart will not become haughty over his brothers, and so that he will not deviate either to the right or to the left from the commandment, in order that he prolong his time over his kingdom, he and his sons among Israel.